Ancient history, Greek mythology. Greek mythology is one of the most enduring and influential aspects of ancient history. Rooted in the cultural, religious, and philosophical life of the ancient Greeks, these myths have shaped Western literature, art, and thought for millennia, spanning from the creation of the cosmos to the heroic exploits of mortals and gods alike. Greek mythology offers a rich tapestry of stories that reflect the values, fears, and aspirations of an ancient civilization. Origins and development. The origins of Greek mythology can be traced back to the Mycenaean period, circa 1600–1100 BCE, with early influences also coming from neighboring cultures such as the Minoans, Egyptians, Hittites, and Mesopotamians. These early myths were transmitted orally before being recorded in written form during the Archaic and Classical periods, circa 800 to 323 BCE. The two earliest and most significant literary sources are Homer's Iliad and Odyssey, composed around the 8th century BCE, and Hesiod's Theogony and Works and Days, which provided a comprehensive genealogy of the gods and insights into human morality and labor. Greek mythology was not a centralized or dogmatic system like modern religions. Rather, it was a collection of stories, beliefs, and rituals that varied across city-states and evolved over time. These myths explained natural phenomena, human behavior, and the origins of the world. They served both as entertainment and as moral and philosophical instruction, often illustrating the consequences of hubris, the importance of hospitality, Xenia, and the inevitability of fate, Moira. The Olympian gods. At the heart of Greek mythology was the pantheon of Olympian gods, deities who resided on Mount Olympus, the highest mountain in Greece. These gods were anthropomorphic, possessing human traits such as jealousy, love, anger, and compassion. The 12 principal Olympians included Zeus, Hera, Poseidon, Demeter, Athena, Apollo, Artemis, Ares, Aphrodite, Hephaestus, Hermes, and either Hestia or Dionysus, depending on the mythological tradition. Zeus, the king of the gods, ruled over the sky and thunder, symbolizing authority and justice. His wife, Hera, was the goddess of marriage and childbirth, often portrayed as jealous due to Zeus's many infidelities. Poseidon, god of the sea, earthquakes and horses, was known for his volatile temper. Demeter governed agriculture and fertility, while her daughter Persephone became queen of the underworld after being abducted by Hades. Athena, born fully grown from Zeus's forehead, was the goddess of wisdom, warfare, and crafts. She was revered for her strategic mind and was the patron deity of Athens. Apollo, god of music, prophecy, medicine, and the sun, had a dual nature representing both harmony and disease. His twin sister Artemis was the goddess of the hunt, wilderness, and chastity. Other Olympians included Ares, the violent and chaotic god of war; Aphrodite, goddess of love and beauty; Hephaestus, the lame but ingenious smith god; Hermes, the messenger of the gods and guide of souls to the underworld; and Dionysus, the god of wine and revelry. Hestia, goddess of the hearth, was often given up her seat among the 12 to make room for Dionysus. These gods interacted constantly with humans, sometimes appearing in disguise, intervening in mortal affairs, and even siring demigod heroes such as Heracles, Perseus, and Achilles. Their involvement in human lives blurred the line between the divine and the mortal, making the myths deeply personal and relevant to everyday Greek life. Creation, myths, and cosmogony. Before the Olympian gods came into power, there were older generations of deities. According to Hesiod's Theogony, the universe began with chaos, the primordial void. From chaos emerged Gaia, earth; Tartarus, the underworld abyss; Eros, love; Erebus, darkness; and Nyx, night. Gaia gave birth to Uranus, sky, who became her consort, and together they produced the Titans, Cyclopes, and Hecatoncheires, 100-handed giants. Uranus feared his children, and imprisoned them deep within the earth. In response, Gaia encouraged her youngest son, Cronus, to overthrow them. Cronus castrated Uranus, and from his blood sprang the giants, the Erinyes, Furies, and the nymphs. However, Cronus himself became paranoid and devoured each of his children to prevent being overthrown, just as he had done to his father. Only Zeus escaped this fate when his mother Rhea hid him and fed Cronus a stone wrapped in cloth instead. When Zeus grew to adulthood, he forced Cronus to regurgitate his siblings, Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon. United, they waged war against the Titans in the Titanomachy, a 10-year battle that ended with the Olympians sealing the Titans beneath Tartarus. After their victory, the world was divided among Zeus and his brothers. Zeus received the sky, Poseidon the sea, and Hades the underworld. This cosmogony reflects themes of generational conflict, the struggle for power, and the eventual triumph of order over chaos, concepts that would recur throughout Greek mythology. Heroes and heroism. Heroic myths constituted a vital part of Greek mythology, offering models of behavior and ideals for the Greeks to emulate. Heroes were typically mortal figures, often sons of gods, who performed extraordinary feats through courage, strength, intelligence, or cunning. Their stories often involved quests, battles with monsters, divine intervention, and tragic flaws that led to their downfall. One of the most famous heroes was Heracles, Hercules in Roman mythology, known for his incredible strength and 12 labors imposed as penance for killing his family in a fit of madness induced by Hera, who hated him. Other notable heroes include Theseus, slayer of the Minotaur, Perseus, who beheaded the Gorgon Medusa, Bellerophon, tamer of Pegasus, Jason, leader of the Argonauts in search of the Golden Fleece, and Odysseus, the clever warrior of the Trojan War and hero of Homer's Odyssey. Female heroes were less common, but still present. Atalanta, a huntress and athlete, challenged suitors to races, while Danae played a crucial role in the story of Perseus. Ino and Alcmene were mortal women caught in divine schemes, and Deianira was the unwitting cause of Heracles' death. The concept of kleos, glory, was central to Greek heroism. Heroes sought eternal fame through their deeds, believing that their names would live on through poetry and song. This pursuit often came at great personal cost, involving suffering, exile, or death. The tragic dimension of heroism was poignantly captured in the story of Achilles, the greatest warrior of the Trojan War, who chose a short but glorious life over a long and obscure existence. Mythological creatures and beasts. Greek mythology teemed with fantastical creatures, many of whom posed challenges for heroes. Some of the most iconic include the Minotaur, a half-man, half-bull monster confined in the labyrinth of Crete; Medusa and the Gorgons, whose gaze turned men to stone; the Hydra, a multi-headed serpent that grew new heads when severed; Cerberus, the three-headed dog guarding the entrance to the underworld; Chimera, a fire-breathing monster with parts of a lion, goat, and serpent; the Sirens, bird women whose enchanting songs lured sailors to their doom; the Sphinx, a riddling creature that terrorized Thebes until solved by Oedipus. These creatures often represented deeper fears or symbolic trials that heroes had to overcome to achieve wisdom, purification, or redemption. The Trojan War and the epic cycle. Perhaps the most famous mythological event in Greek mythology is the Trojan War, immortalized in Homer's Iliad. Sparked by the abduction of Helen, wife of King Menelaus of Sparta, by the Trojan prince Paris, the war lasted 10 years and involved nearly all the major Greek heroes and gods. The Iliad focuses on a brief but pivotal episode centered around Achilles' wrath against Agamemnon, the Greek commander-in-chief, and his grief over the death of his companion, Patroclus. The poem ends with the burial of Hector, the noble Trojan prince. The aftermath of the war is recounted in other works of the epic cycle, including the Odyssey, which follows the journey of Odysseus as he struggles to return home to Ithaca. Along the way, he encounters mythical beings, faces divine retribution, and tests his cunning and endurance. The fall of Troy itself was achieved through the ruse of the wooden horse, a ploy devised by Odysseus. Greek warriors hid inside the giant wooden structure left outside the gates, allowing them to infiltrate the city at night and bring about its destruction. Beyond Homer, playwrights, poets, and historians continued to explore the Trojan War's legacy, emphasizing themes of fate, honor, betrayal, and the capriciousness of the gods. The underworld and the afterlife. The Greek view of the afterlife was complex and often bleak. Unlike some later religious traditions, the Greeks did not envision a paradise or hell, but rather a shadowy realm where the souls of the dead wandered aimlessly. This place was called Hades, named after its ruler, the god of the underworld. To reach the underworld, souls had to cross the river Styx aboard the ferry of Charon, the boatman. Those without proper burial rites or coins to pay Charon were doomed to wander the shores forever. Upon arrival, the dead were judged by 3 judges, Minos, Rhadamanthus, and Iacchus, who determined their fate. Most souls went to the asphodel meadows, a grey existence where they retained only fragments of their former selves. However, the virtuous and heroic were sent to the Elysian fields, a blissful afterlife akin to a garden paradise. The wicked, meanwhile, were punished in Tartarus, where figures like Tantalus, Sisyphus, and the Danaïdes suffered eternal torment for their crimes. Orpheus, the legendary musician, ventured into the underworld to retrieve his beloved Eurydice, only to lose her again due to a moment's doubt. Psyche underwent trials to reunite with Cupid, and Heracles descended to fetch Cerberus as one of his labors. These myths explored themes of love, loss, and the limits of human agency in the face of death. Religion and myth in daily life. Greek mythology was inseparable from religion. Temples, altars, festivals, and sacrifices were dedicated to the gods, who were believed to influence every aspect of life, from agriculture and weather to health, politics, and warfare. The Oracle of Delphi, considered the most important prophetic site in the Greek world, was located at the sanctuary of Apollo. Pilgrims traveled from far and wide seeking advice from the Pythia, the priestess who delivered cryptic messages inspired by the god and inhaled fumes rising from the earth. Mystery cults, such as those of Demeter and Persephone, Eleusinian mysteries, and Dionysus, Orphic mysteries, promised initiates secret knowledge and a better afterlife. These cults emphasized personal transformation, spiritual enlightenment, and communion with the divine. Athletic contests, such as the Olympic Games, were held in honor of Zeus, blending physical excellence with religious devotion. Theater, too, had religious roots, emerging from festivals of Dionysus. Tragedies by playwrights like Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides often drew from mythological themes exploring human suffering, divine justice, and moral dilemmas. Influence on art and literature. Greek mythology has profoundly influenced Western art and literature. Ancient sculptors and painters depicted scenes from mythology on pottery, frescoes, and statues, preserving the visual legacy of these tales. The Parthenon in Athens, adorned with sculptures depicting the battle between the Lapiths and Centaurs, remains a testament to the centrality of myth in public life. In literature, mythological themes have been explored by countless writers, from Virgil's Aeneid, which links Rome to the Trojan War, to Shakespeare's use of classical motifs in plays like Troilus and Cressida and A Midsummer Night's Dream. Renaissance artists such as Botticelli and Michelangelo drew inspiration from Greek myths, while Enlightenment thinkers and Romantic poets revisited them for philosophical and emotional depth. Modern literature, film and television continue to reinterpret Greek mythology in new ways. Works like Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson and the Olympian series introduce young readers to the gods and heroes of antiquity, while films and TV shows reimagine these myths for contemporary audiences. Legacy and modern relevance. Despite originating thousands of years ago, Greek mythology continues to resonate today. Its archetypes, the hero, the villain, the trickster, the wise mentor, form the basis of storytelling across cultures. Psychological theories, such as those of Carl Jung and Joseph Campbell, draw upon mythological patterns to explain human behavior and narrative structures. Moreover, Greek mythology teaches timeless lessons about ambition, love, loyalty, betrayal, and mortality. The gods and heroes may be distant figures, but their struggles mirror our own. Through their stories, we see reflections of our desires, fears, and dreams. In conclusion, Greek mythology is more than a collection of ancient tales. It is a living tradition that has shaped and continues to shape the way we understand ourselves and the world. Grounded in the realities of ancient Greek society, yet transcending time and culture, these myths offer a window into the human soul, a window that remains open to all who seek to peer through it.